Item. SCP-520. Object Class. Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-521 and -2 are to be stored in an inanimate item containment locker with standard positive action defenses. Each object's handle is to remain perpendicular to its base. The handles and contacts must be secured with sturdy clamps made of insulating material. POI-520-A and POI-520-B are to remain in Foundation custody, as long as they do so voluntarily. They are to be accommodated comfortably without communications access. All electrical devices in each POI suite should be checked weekly for damage or modification. Should POI-520-A and POI-520-B agree to meet, they are permitted 1 hour of face-to-face or video conference time per week. Testing is currently suspended. See Incident 520-16. Description: SCP-521 and SCP-522 are large quadruple knife switches constructed from wood, ceramic, and copper. A single unlabeled dial is mounted in SCP-522's base and a 48-character LED display is connected across its input contacts with insulated alligator clips. When connected to an electrical circuit, SCP-521 does not function normally to break or complete the circuit to which it is connected. Instead, it splices itself, briefly and remotely, into the primary power circuit of one randomly selected electrical device within 10 meters. Moving the handle from the on to the off position breaks the power circuit, while moving it from off to on completes the circuit, regardless of any other switches or current interrupters. Interruption or completion of the circuit is permanent. Wires are physically broken, fuses bypassed, and switches shorted out. The surface of metal connections formed or broken by SCP-521 bears signs of extreme oxidation, often to a chemically implausible extent. SCP-522 functions like SCP-521, but its targets are selected randomly only from electronic devices inside its active zone that are members of its current selection class. The active zone's current radius is displayed on the left side of the LED display. It may be set to any value between 5 meters and 2,500 kilometers using the dial in the object's base. The selection class is a subset of electrical devices specified by a brief English phrase. See Addendum 526 for examples. The active selection class appears in the center of SCP-521's LED display, with a counter of remaining activations on the right. Each class is applied to exactly 10 operations before a new one is chosen at random. If there are no members of the selection class inside the active zone, the counter does not decrement until a suitable device can be affected. Over 680 pages of assorted hard copy documentation were recovered with SCP-520. They included 8 technical papers on anomalous electrical engineering topics, 2 complete sets of construction diagrams for SCP-521, one annotated by hand to roughly resemble SCP-522, a set of meticulous step-by-step instructions for building a copy of SCP-521, written in the second person and sprinkled with personal and cultural references, and extensive handwritten notes on the process of constructing and modifying an SCP-520 instance. The retrieved notes end abruptly partway through debugging an attempt to add programmable target type specificity. Most handwriting in the documentation belongs to POI-520-B, with occasional notes in POI-520-A's hand. Many of the notes refer to an ongoing correspondence by phone and email, records of which have not yet been retrieved.